Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, Jamaica Roots TV. Thank you so much for joining me on this video. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks to all the viewers and the subscribers. We do appreciate your support. So I'm going to let you view this video. Right after the video, I'm going to be reading a letter. And that's a letter that was sent in to the gleaner, what causes squatting, and how the government should support their citizens. And also I'm going to be telling you about the new initiative in the Bahamas, where the government is now rolling out a plan, a new initiative for their citizens to do rent to own, to provide homes for them. Everybody needs a home. And your home is your castle. It's your safe spot. It's a place where you're comfortable, right? And some people have 5-10 homes, and they're still preventing people from getting one home.
A community in the Loidersville division of St. Catherine is now distressed after getting notices to leave government land in 2 months. Some people have been living on the land in question for more than 50 years.
I am totally upset. Me no sleep last night. Me can't sleep.
We have to live somewhere on earth. We can't live in the sky. You understand? We can't live on the sea.
The residents, along with their member of parliament, are begging government for mercy and dialogue. Before we tell you more about left word since last evening, when several residents received notices demanding that they pack up their belongings and leave the property within the next 2 months. Some of the residents have been living there for more than 50 years. The rural community, which has more than 100 households, is known as Pleasant Hill or Hog Pond and is located near Pennington District in the Loidersville division of St. Catherine. The residents told the Beacon that they were stunned last evening when they saw a man driving through the community handing out the notices for them to vacate the land by December 6 or be removed forcibly. The notice, dated October 6, 2022, accuses the residents of illegally occupying the land. The notice also bears the signature purportedly of the lawyer representing the Commissioner of Lands. One of the residents affected, Andre Duhaney, said that the government authorities had been in discussion with residents about becoming legitimate owners of the land.
I'm a resident of Pleasant Hill, Loidersville, otherwise Providence. I'm living in this area for over 30 years with my family. We built our house here, have our children and everything here. Before the last election, they came in, Mr. Amos came and said we are to apply for sending an application towards the land. We did so, and they sent out some persons from Land Authority to us. And they came, they walk around and they do an inventory, saying they want to know what is on the property. And they walk around each and every person with everybody's name on it. They said the next person that would be coming would be surveyor, and they're not going to push people off the land. They're going to do it just the way that you have the piece of land. And yesterday, only to see Land Authority come here, we expecting to hear that the land is ready to survey, that people can get a title. Only to see them come with this letter showing that we are to evacuate the land. And this is what the letter says to us by the 6th of December. Where we are going by the 6th of December. This can't work. It can't happen. We expect them to come and have a dialogue with us. Nobody come to talk to us more than to bring an eviction letter. I am totally upset. Me no sleep last night. Me can't sleep.
Another resident, Frederick Moyton, said he has been living on the roadside land since 1972, or for 50 years now. It's where he raised all his children and invested everything he worked for.
The situation can't rest away, man. This is a bad idea. Which part will I live? family on this land and now till me have my children, them 6 children and 7 grand now. So this condition can't right through it, man. So where will I live?
I go and come in last night and I come here say letter drop off it towards land and property. So we trespass on property where we live here much years. So if the government want the land or want we live better, enough just thing there. Just get the land severe and make it take time pay for it. We can't pay for the land where we not think there, where we not severe or we don't know how much we are pay for. You understand? So right now when me here now, it's like a knife on my belly. Because then get me ignorant, you see me? And so if we move off a land, where we all move go? Yeah?
Residents in this and other communities in the Lower Vale division have had to struggle hard for decades to become legitimate landowners in an area steeped in sugarcane plantation history. The land in question was once owned by the nearby Worthy Park Sugar Estate. Residents claimed that late former Prime Minister Michael Manley acquired the property in what was his thrust to have more working-class citizens become landowners. A number of small farmers planted sugarcane on the land and supplied the crop to Worthy Park Sugar Estate. As the years go by, and in times when the prices of sugar plunged, the small cane farmers started building homes or selling the land for relatively low prices to potential house builders. There is virtually no cane left on the property. More and more houses are being built, now more than ever.
We have to live somewhere on earth. We can't live in the sky. You understand? We can't live on the sea.
Most of the new houses are being built by hard-working and ambitious young people from the area. Now they fear losing everything. Like many of the residents, Member of Parliament for St. Catherine Northwest, Hugh Graham, is asking the government for lenience and dialogue.
I intend to meet with the residents and I am talking to the government people because I want the background of why they are doing this. So when I meet with the residents, I am able to explain the government's position, especially if I understand their position. Whether I agree with their position, yes or no, I don't know. But at least I need to know. I am the Member of Parliament for North West St. Catherine, and they haven't spoken to me. Nobody has called me to say, this is what is happening, this is what we're going to do, and these are the reasons why we're doing it. Very, very out of order, very unprofessional approach. As upset as the residents are, even more upset.
The notices were served on the same day that agents of the state demolished some houses built on government land at Clifton in the Portmore area of St. Catherine. The residents here in Lower Vale division, trapped in an anxious wait, are hoping that they won't end up suffering the same fate. In Lower Vale division, this is the Jamaica Beacon.
We're seeing a tsunami of eviction notices being sent out to residents or who have built their homes on government lands, right? Whether you've been living there 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, who is able to pack up and go where in 8 weeks, just before holidays and all of that. This letter was sent in to the Gleaner, and it says, Dear Editor, I agree with urban planner Dr. Carol Archer, who did not support the demolition of houses near Clifton, St. Catherine. Dr. Archer echoed the point that affordable shelter is a right. With urban planner Dr. Carol Archer, who did not support the demolition of houses near Clifton, St. Catherine. Dr. Archer echoed the point that affordable shelter is a right of all Jamaicans. Recently, the government began the process of demolishing houses built illegally on captured lands in St. Catherine. It is a byproduct of the state of affairs of the country, the economy, poor planning, and governance. I fully agree with the leader of the opposition, Mark Golding, who called the act of demolition of houses at Clifton cruel and insensitive without adequate notice or consideration for the impact on the families affected. Years ago, when I was in sixth form, I did a research project on Gully Bank squatters. This was part of the General Certificate of Education for exam. I identified a few sites, and along with a classmate, we ventured in fearlessly to interview several squatters to understand the circumstances, plights, and concern, Their stories were painful to hear and all followed the same theme. They chose the dangerous edge of the gully banks, which were uninhabited, to build small dwellings made of board, zinc, and concrete. To say that squatting breeds crime is unfounded. The squatters I met were simply trying to live. Some had jobs, others hustled to earn a living. Some inherited their dwellings. They did what they had to do to put roofs over their heads and provide housing for their families. Despite the economic hardships, government was not able to help, so they helped themselves. Many of us would probably do the same thing if we were faced with similar adversities and hopelessness. No one in their right mind would support squatting as a solution or breaking the law to build homes on captured land. Squatting is part of our reality. It exists, more so in poor countries that are underdeveloped. Government agencies and urban planners could explore other options to help those living as squatters, to provide a pathway to legitimize ownership, and even offer assistance to enhance their dwellings to ensure safety from elements, considering children also live in these dwellings. Every human being deserves to live in a decent place. Our surroundings affect our mental state and how we interact socially. If we live in filth, it affects us. If we will be inclined to act and interact accordingly, we are all affected somehow. We should also be mindful that development is not only about the developers and the government who profit from large-scale private development projects. There are economic, social, and environmental issues. I don't believe demolishing homes benefit anyone without an adequate plan to help those who are displaced. We must think of consequences of our actions before we act. So I'm just going to read a short excerpt from the news from The Guardian regarding the rent-to-own initiative rolled out by the Bahamian government, right? They're looking out for their citizens. Ministry of Transport and Housing, Joebeth Colby Davis, on Wednesday announced the government's rent-to-own initiative called A Place to Call Home. Bahamians the opportunity to save up for their first dream home while living in it at the same time. The initiative, she said, is in partnership with the Bahamas Mortgage Corporation and will be rolled out in very short order, and 5 housing units in Spring City, Abaco. Over an agreed fixed period, rent will be paid to the Department of Housing. They're going to be paying to the Department of Housing. Take note. A portion of the rent will go towards a down payment for the mortgage, property maintenance, and insurance costs. So a reservation deposit is required to enroll in a place to call home. So you put a reservation deposit down. I think Jamaica should copy some of this to help out the citizens. Too many homeless people are around. And there are people with 10, 15 homes, 10 apartment buildings, 50, 100 acres. Reservation deposit is required to enroll in a place called home. Successful applicants will be required to attend a home ownership education course through the Department of Housing and agree to financial coaching. So they are going to provide financial coaching, like a budgeting class, right? To get you on the right track, to make sure that you stay on track with your finances. So this is great, right? And also, there's an education course that will be offered through the Department of Housing. So they're educating you on home ownership, right? Because a lot of people do not know the ins and outs of it. You know, what are their responsibilities? Because every homeowner, as a homeowner, you do have responsibilities, right? Kobe Davis said that the initiative is geared towards employed and self-employed Bahamians seeking to become first-time homeowners. So they want to put that key into the hands of Bahamians, right? To make sure they're owning their own home, right? It's because the people with the money, they love to become landlords, and they can tell it to vacate their premises whenever they want, right? They can tell it to pay 3 months rent in advance They can tell you they need a deposit on light, water, and all of that. You can call them on the phone and they never turn up, and there's so many things wrong in the home, but they just believe that they have the handle and you have the blade. I understand that Bahamians would like an example of how a place to call home will work. Therefore, let me give an analogy and explain. Mary Johnson is a teacher. She's interested in enrolling in a place to call home. Registers online with the Department of Housing and is advised of the cost of a 3-bedroom and a 1-bathroom home. So they are advised of the cost of a 3-bedroom and a 1-bathroom home. She selects a housing solution to lease for 12 months with the purchase option. Mary also indicates that her preferred financial institution is the Bahamas Mortgage Corporation, BMC, and the Department of Housing. The customer service team will tailor Mary's solution with the mortgage requirements of the Bahamas Mortgage Corporation. So you can see they're trying to help out their citizens. That's why you elect a government. The government represents the people. Without the people, there's no government, because the people give the government that power, right? They vote for them to look out for their interest at all times. You cannot be putting developers ahead of the people. Bahamas Mortgage Corporation requires a minimum down payment of 5%. As she selected the 12-month option, the deposit is divided by 12 so that Mary will have the full deposit saved at the end of the 12 months. This is fantastic. This is great. Mary's total monthly payment to the Department of Housing will be her deposit savings plus a concessionary fee for administration, insurance, and maintenance. Mary's monthly payment under the program will be comparable or less than the cost to rent a similar home. So it's less than renting a home. They're tailoring it to make sure that it's not going to cost more than renting a home. It's important to note that the funds for the mortgage down payment will be held in escrow only for the purchase of the home, right? So it will be held just for the purchase of the home. Kobe Davis invite interested applicants to register. So escrow refers to a neutral third party holding assets or funds before they're transferred from one party to another. Right? So it's a neutral third party will be holding the assets, so they don't have to worry of what is going to happen to their down payment. Basically, the lender will keep the amounts for taxes and insurance in the escrow account. And then when the bills come due, they will make the appropriate payments, right? So they're making sure that the bills are paid, right? And they don't have that hassle of figuring everything out. And the state is doing all of that for them, making it easier for them to own the home. So thanks so much for watching the video. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Take care of yourself and others. Bye for now, and see you on the next video.